Mr. Makarka is hard of hearing, so I will be speaking very loudly, okay? Can you please state your name, age, and where you are from?
My name is Stanley Makarka, age 84, born 1/10/35, here in Cordova, Alaska. So I just about know everybody, but I had to get introduced to the crowd here.
Tell us a little bit about your childhood.
My childhood, I don't want to take too long, but being I was born and raised here in Cordova, my doctor who born me was Dr. Chase. He was older than I am.
Wow.
And he owned a lot of downtown Cordova.
Oh, yeah.
We used to have one of the beautifulest theater in Alaska. He had a museum bigger than this.
Wow.
And he had every animal in Alaska just about mounted. He was a doctor, my doctor.
Mm-hmm.
Is there anything else about?
Well, more specifically about you. What was growing up in Cordova and being yourself like for you?
For me, well, you mean like my livelihood?
Yeah.
Well, to start out with, I want to make it short. I started as a fisherman, like the rest of her husband.
Mm-hmm.
And I was a construction worker. I did a lot of work right around Cordova and on the highway out to 42 Mile, different contractors. And I've worked all over Alaska, south part of Alaska. The northern end, no. So that's the story of that part.
Mm-hmm.
Is there anything else other than?
Tell us a little bit about your family.
My family? Well, I got married in 1962 to my wife Helen. I had 3 boys, and I got umpteen cousins and nieces and nephews all over Alaska. I can't name them all because of memory.
How many brothers and sisters did you have?
Pardon me?
How many brothers and sisters did you have?
I had, I only got one living now, but I had 5 sisters and 3 brothers.
Wow.
Wow.
But there's only 2 of us left.
Who's the other one?
Jesse Tiedemann from Tititlik,
Oh, yeah.
Oh.
and I'm the only boy left out of
Out of all.
I was the youngest in the family.
Yeah.
Right now I'm the oldest.
You were the baby?
Yeah, I
You were
was
the baby.
the
Of the wow.
Wow.
So are you related to the Tiedemans in Cordova?
Mm-hmm.
Wow,
Yeah.
I did not know that. I had
Like
no
I was
idea.
saying.
Yeah,
I got relations all over
Alaska.
clean down to past Florida.
Wow.
Yeah, I got nieces and nephews down there.
Neat.
Wow. So now that I know you're related to the Tiedemans, is there anyone else besides your wife in Cordova and the Tiedemans that you're related to?
Well, my wife is related to the Allens. You know them?
Yes.
George and
Yeah.
Olsons. She's related to them.
Oh, wow.
Both of us are related to big families. Her and myself. My wife is originally from Elmar. But I was born and raised here in Cordova till I was 8 years old. Then it was kind of depression. Then we moved to Tititlik. when I was 8 years old. Then when I was 15, I moved back to Cordova. Ever since here.
What was school like?
Pardon me?
What was the school like in Tititlik?
The school?
Yeah.
Let's see, there was probably, all 8th grades, probably 35 of us, if that.
Uh-huh.
There wasn't too many.
Yeah.
And there still isn't. I mean, I think it's gotten smaller. But,
In Tititlik it has.
Yeah.
well, a lot of them, after the land claims, they moved to the biggest village in Alaska. You know where that is?
No.
I'll be darned.
Oh no.
Where's the
Sorry.
biggest city in
Anchorage.
Alaska?
Well, it's Anchorage, but I thought you were meaning village, like.
That is the biggest
Okay,
village.
okay.
All the little villages moved to Anchorage, made it a big village.
I swear I'm smart, okay?
Can I ask something
Yeah.
while we're here? What was the difference between your childhood in Cordova and in Tititlik? How were they different?
Well, the difference, most all the families there would talk Aleut. And I was young. My grandmother, she lived to be 93, I think it was. And she taught me Aleut, little what I know, because she couldn't speak English. So I had to learn a little to speak to her. That's part of moving from here to Tititlik. Back then, the depression was bad here in Cordova. After the railroad left, my dad and mom couldn't. My mom used to work in a shrimp cannery. We had a big shrimp cannery here, and my dad couldn't get a job on the railroad. So my mother's sister had an extra house in Tititlik, so she made us move there. And I was 9 years old. I was 8 when we moved. My mother died when I was 9. She died of an earache.
Oh my God.
So other than that, anything else, John?
Who raised you then? Who raised you after she passed away? Who took care of you?
My dad and I lived together quite a while. Then after we moved back here, he passed away here in Cordova, and I stayed with my sister, Molly O'Brien. And
That name.
you know the Bryans, don't you? So other than that, over there, I stayed with my dad till we moved back here.
So when you stayed with Molly, did you live with Patrick?
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
the whole family.
Uh-huh. Okay.
Down, you used to live
Down
there.
where
didn't you?
we were?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Your family sounds bigger than the Romehilts and the Mumas and all them.
Oh, a lot bigger.
Yeah.
If I could name them all, you wouldn't believe it. You would not believe it.
Wow.
So
So how many different moves did you make in Cordova from the present house you're in right now?
wow. Well, again, back to the depression. I wasn't really into working that much, just fishing. And it was hard to find a home here in Cordova. I lived, we used to own a house right there by Wilson Construction,
Yeah.
right across where that big sand pile is now. That was our lot.
Holy cow.
But somehow we lost out on that. And back in my younger days, I didn't care much about where I'm going to live. But after we got married, start making kids, had to find a place to live.
Oh, so how long have you been in your present house?
That's paid for.
That's paid for. The house that you paid for.
This
How long have you been there now?
since 1967
Wow.
till present.
That's a lot.
Yeah, I bought that from Ron Anderson. You know him, didn't
Yep.
you? Yeah,
Yeah.
back then. It was a single layer. Now it's double.
Okay. And then that's where you raised your family, the boys.
Hmm
Yep.
They graduate from school here.
Yep.
And
And then you have grandchildren, right? You have grandchildren here?
I got, let's see. Boy, you make me start thinking.
You need your wife. She'd know exactly how many grandchildren.
That's a white.
I got 4 here in Cordova,
4 in Cordova.
but I got a lot of nieces
Yeah.
and that they're left here.
Yeah.
This, I don't know. I think your story has been great so far. I'm learning so much I did not know. So much. What's your favorite place in Cordova, and then what's your favorite place in the world?
Wow.
Here's a big question for you.
Actually, my wife wanted to move to Hawaii, but I didn't want to because I can't stand the heat. So
Kind of like my family, yeah.
that made a difference. We
Yeah.
didn't move. We were there 3 different times, and she got to love it. And I didn't care for it. And what was the other question?
Where's your favorite place in Cordova?
My favorite place is probably Hippie Cove,
I see you there a lot.
Yeah.
sport fishing.
Aw.
Yeah.
Did you ever seine fish? Or
Oh,
gill
yes.
net?
I grew up till I was probably 60.
What was your job when you were younger?
On the boat,
Mm-hmm.
a deckhand.
What'd you do though? Cork, sleds?
Yeah,
Yeah.
corks.
Ah, me too.
So I had to pile them higher than I was. I was a little guy then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the
Comes up
boats
here.
and the boats were littler, so the
Yeah.
pile-
Right.
Probably was pretty high. Yeah.
But I fished with every person in Tititlik that owned a boat.
Wow.
And just about all the older people owned a boat. And I fished with all of them.
All of them.
Not all at once. Different years.
Hey,
You're done stacking up, get on another boat. Right?
what was Hippie Cove like back in the old days?
There was no road back then.
What?
No.
Oh, I'm so...
There was a little
I don't know stuff.
hand-packed cannery on piling. You could still see the remains of it right there, halfway to the burn area. You look down there and you'd see all that metal.
That was a cannery?
Cannery.
I had no idea.
Where?
Oh, just on the other side of the landfill where the boatyard is. Right before Hippie Cove.
Oh.
Where that big rock is.
Yeah.
That big rock, yeah.
That's
Yeah.
where the cannery was, right there.
Huh.
And then after the road came and it burnt down.
What kind of cannery? Was that the shrimp? Where was the shrimp cannery?
The shrimp cannery was where APA is now, Cup River.
Uh-huh.
That was shrimp, and back in the late 50s to the 60s, this was probably the world's razor clam
Yeah.
of America.
Yeah.
And now you can't even catch one or dig one.
I know, or they're small. If
Well-
you find one, yeah.
I'd take them if I could find a small one too. And we used to have a lot of butter clams. And Dungeness crab. We'd walk down the low water and spear them right in the
really?
water.
Wow.
What we want to take home, you know.
Wow.
That's how many there was. Just
Why are they gone? All of us? We ate them all?
not just me.
I never got to eat them, and you're making me hungry.
You have to buy them now, and it's
I know.
expensive.
It's too much.
Roe milk,
Yeah,
very expensive. Mm.
yeah. We just got Tanner crabs the other night. They were $10 a piece.
See,
Yeah,
And that's cheap.
that's pretty cheap. Yeah.
That is cheap. Like, I'll buy that.
who brought them in?
You know McKenna O'Toole?
Mm.
Yeah, McKenna and Sarah brought them in, and my daughter bought 7 of them at $10 a piece. I thought that was pretty good price. They were good sized Tanner
they?
crabs. Yeah,
Boy, but $10 a piece.
yeah. It's
That's a steal.
Excuse me.
sure.
So if I was new to Cordova, if anyone was new to Cordova, what would you tell them about Cordova?
Well, I enjoy telling people about Cordova if they love it. If they don't love it, I tell them we got an airlines, we got a ferry. Get on one of them, get out of here. And that's just the way I tell them.
So if I loved Cordova and I just got here, what would you tell me?
And you just got here?
And I just got here and I was like, this is the
Well,
most beautiful
I tell
place.
you about the weather first.
It was raining and I thought it was still
We get a
beautiful.
lot of rain. That's what I tell you. A lot of people don't like rain.
They're weak.
When it sunshines, you couldn't find a better place to live. Have you grown up here?
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah. All my life, pretty much.
you're like me then, born and
Yeah.
raised here. Wow.
All of
Them too.
Both of them? Oh, that makes me feel great.
Yeah, actually, everyone in our group, the girls in our group, we were
Are
all...
they related to you? No?
No,
She's
our
my daughter.
group.
Tanika was actually
Uh-huh.
Everyone was raised here.
Yeah.
So, I could tell you more about Cordova, but I got to make it short
Okay.
because my wife is cooking. But you
wanna
want to
miss
know
that?
more?
I don't know. Sure, yeah. Tell me more. Tell me more.
About Cordova?
Yeah, sure.
Were you here? Well, you were here. You were here during the earthquake.
Yes.
And
Mm-hmm.
yeah, tell them some experience about that.
Well, that one, earthquake was a big one too. It was centered right here in Prince William Sound, down by Chenega. You know where Chenega is.
I do, actually.
So that's where it was centered. And it shook a lot harder than this last one. I mean,
Yeah.
my wife's mother lived up by Mark King.
Oh,
So when that happened, they announced that we're having a tsunami. So when we went up there to live with her mother, we had to stay there till the water went down. It would keep going up and down. We had the sedge for a Coast Guard back then. That would go completely dry on the dock. That's the T dock now,
yeah.
not the Coast Guard dock.
Yes.
But then the high water would come exactly even with the piling dock we had. We didn't have, that wasn't land back then. that and part of AC down there,
Yeah.
that was all water. Then they pumped out the harbor and made land out of both of them. So that's how that land became people. And now it's overloaded.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've seen a lot improvement in Cordova. And like I said, back in the 50s and 60s, you'd have loved it. I mean, people were people. They weren't like they are now. Oh, I don't like you. And you. But the rest of them, they're welcome. And that's how Cordova was back then. They just, like one big family. We knew everybody. It wasn't this big, Cordova. So we knew just about count them on your hand.
Yeah.
What are the improvements? You said there's a lot of improvements.
Well, like I said, that
The landfill?
all those canneries and that down there,
Okay.
they weren't there.
Oh, okay. So
Jim Porter is the one that more or less built all the canneries. And AC come in, Native Village of Eyak, and then it just exploded after that, you know.
How
Yeah.
about the airport? Was the airport there then during the earthquake?
Yeah,
That was there. And did that get interrupted with the earthquake and then?
the earthquake destroyed the bridges and part of the road. And it did little on the airport runway too. So other than that way, the earthquake was a bad one. It was one I don't want to feel again.
Yeah. Must be
Never.
super scared, huh? Yeah.
Terrible.
Yeah.
So before the earthquake, at high water, the flats used to come all the way up, kind of like to the road now, at high water during the high tide.
They didn't have that trestle. It was a piling for the railroad. You know the trestle down there? Then they filled it in and made a highway out of it. And that's how the slough became where the hospital
Odiak
is.
Slough.
Odiak Slough, you're right.
Yeah.
That's,
But that used to be ocean water that would come in there?
yes.
Yeah.
Because the railroad had pilings
Right. And it would come under that.
crossed all over there,
Yeah.
clean down to
We saw that one picture.
where the, not where the main dock is now, right where Copper River Seafoods is. That used to be the main dock till it burned down in 63. Yeah, 63.
That's right. You were here during the big fire
On Main
No.
Street?
on Main
Town of
Street.
Cordova.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I used to work for Bill O'Brien then. And that was right there. Oh my God.
Were you there when it was burning?
Oh yes.
Yeah.
My wife had, she just got out of college and that stuff, and she stored all her stuff in Bill O'Brien's warehouse there, which burnt down. So she lost all her beautiful belongings.
Wow.
did you know your wife all your life?
Did I know her all?
All your life? Did you guys grow up
Well,
together, kind of? Well, she was in Elmar, but that was
Yeah.
really close to Titlick.
yeah, when she was probably 8 or 9, and I was 8, and they'd commute over to Titlick back and forth. Her mom, they'd walk at 2.25 miles on the beach at nighttime. Her mom drank a little that time, and she used to be told me she was scared of the coyotes hollering at night. So that was her story. You know, she grew up mostly in Tititlik. Then when that cannery burnt down in the late 50s, they moved here, all the families. That there was,
The Webbers, right?
pardon me?
Irene Weber, were they out there? The Webbers?
Yeah. Weber's and Irene Weber and them, that was a big family. And there was probably 5 families that lived over there when the cannery was operating. And after that, they all moved here.
Was that a salmon cannery?
Yeah.
Which decision has had the most impact on your life?
Come again?
Which decision has had the most impact on your life?
Another tough one. My decision, like I said, I love Cordova so much, you couldn't pry me out of here. So they'll probably throw dirt on me.
So your decision to stay instead of move to Hawaii, that was the biggest one?
My wife, she wants to move to Hawaii, but we're both at the age where
That'd be tough.
she's in a cane on account of a hip replacement.
Yeah.
And other than that, who would want to be in Hawaii in that condition?
What's your favorite sport in Cordova?
You know it.
He told me to ask. I'm not going to mess
Basketball.
with the ref.
Well, he should know. I cuss him and Shellhorn out every game. One time, Shellhorn was going to throw me out. He said, Stan, you come that close to getting thrown out.
Hey, well, we're going to state, so
Yeah, that's what Benzak told me.
refs must have been doing something right this game.
Great.
Yeah.
Those were
All
good
the
games.
refs. All on the refs.
Oh, calm down. I never yell at you.
No, that's where we're going. Because of the refs.
Yeah. Sure. That's not true. Nobody. They don't cheat. Promise. How does the word old make you feel?
Well, that's a good decision. But I didn't think I'd make it to where I'm at now, 84. So I'm still spry. I mean, I could get around on my own. But being I was born and raised here, I love it. And I'm trying to keep my life. I used to be, I hate to say it, but alcohol-wise. And it's been 40 some years now, dry. So, thank you.
Good job.
And we love it to be dry of alcohol and drugs. You know, Cordova's bad for that. So other than that, why, if you want to know more, we can stay here all night.
She's
We
done.
all have to eat
She's done.
supper.
I got just a couple more, okay?
Okay.
Do you feel a need for a better connection between my generation and your generation?
Well, if you're happy with the generation you are in now, like my generation, 84 years, I loved every year of it. even we couldn't get out whenever there were no roads. You know, we had to fly or ferry. So you get in that condition, you gotta love it. So you should know that by now.
Yeah. But, my generation kind of seems to ignore your generation. We don't seek opportunities to talk to you. Do you think that we need to do that? Or do you think that elders need to do that? Or what do you think?
That's another tough question, but I got to think a while. Being that we know the parents, but like you and the kids, no, we don't. So that kind of makes a difference on our generation of communicating with each other. Like this is the most I ever talked to, and I know your family, probably hers.
That's she's mine.
Oh.
And Dana, you know Dana,
And
right?
I've
My
known
husband.
her since she came here, and Benzak's old as a rug.
He's full of compliments.
Good thing
for you.
basketball's over with.
Yeah.
So we're all pretty well one big family. It used to be a big family, but so many, I can't run the people down. You know, there's different opportunities here in Cordova to make a living. And if you're a fisherman or worker, cannery worker, whatever, you got all that here in Cordova. You don't have to communicate to go. So that makes it good for families to live here. But I can't cut anybody down, but I've noticed in my lifetime, we're getting different nationalities moving in here. I'm not saying what kind, but I'm not prejudiced either. So it'll help our economy, more people. I guess all of you know the prices of Cordova are going sky high again, just in the last couple of days. What the heck was my wife just told me? Something went, Kleenex went up 24 cents
Wow.
in the last couple of days, down AC. So you got a lot coming yet
Yeah.
in your generations. So,
Yeah.
but you got to enjoy while you're young. You probably don't like the weather as much as I used to, but if you were born and raised here, you got to put up with it. Which we get a lot of rain. Today was like most of my lifetime.
Did we get as much rain as you remember? Has the weather changed since you were young?
Oh yes, in the last 2 years, I've never seen such 2 beautiful years in my lifetime. We used to have tons of snow in the winter,
Yeah.
and now if we had more than 6 inches, that was a lot.
Yeah.
Like today, I thought we were going to get it, but it turned out to be rain, and I was praying for rain. Come on, rain. So,
Yeah.
so other than that, why, you got any more?
Well, I just wanted to tell you before we wrap up about the rain. You know how regionals was this weekend? The regional basketball tournament?
How what was?
The regional basketball tournament was this weekend. A couple of the kids came up to Cordova kids and said, "How do you live like this? There's so much rain and wind." And I was just like, "It's Cordova."
Oh, kids from different towns?
Yeah. And they were from different parts of Alaska, too, that you would think They're used to the weather.
Uh-huh.
They're weak. Cordova is strong.
That's one thing you got to get used to. It's the rain. But we're probably the cleanest people in Alaska.